everyone, welcome back to Teacher Eich's class. So for today's video, we're going to talk about the skeletal system. What is skeletal system? Our body is built around a living framework called the skeletal system. Our skeletal system is composed of bones. The bones in our body are a combination of several kinds of tissues and contain blood vessels and nerves. Bones are attached to each other at the joints. The combination of bones and joints with related connective tissues form the skeletal system. And did you know that there are about 350 bones at birth? A person grows many of these bones fused together. A child has 208, and in the adult human, the skeleton is composed of 206 bones. Function of the skeletal system. It protects internal organs, stores and releases fat, produces blood cells, stores and releases minerals, facilitates movement, and supports the body. Its purpose is to provide structural and support to the human body. Bones are where new blood cells are generated in the marrow and require the mineral calcium for strength. Let's move on to the major bones of the human body. First is the femur or the thigh bone, cranium or the skull, clavicle or the shoulder blade, vertebrae or the spinal column at the back, phalanges, the finger and the toe bone, pelvic bone. Next is humerus or the upper arm, the bone at the upper arm. Next is radius and ulna, the two bones at the lower arm. Next is sternum or the breastbone. Fibula and tibia or the calf. And then scapula, the shoulder bone. Don't worry, I will discuss it further later. Okay, let's move on to the structure of the skeletal system. So the skeletal system is divided into two. First is the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. Here is the axial skeleton and this is the appendicular skeleton. So let's first discuss the axial skeleton. The axial skeleton includes the skull, vertebral column, the ribs, and the sternum. First is the skull. The skull supports the musculature and structure of the face and forms a protective cavity for the brain. Did you know that the skull consists of 29 bones? And 8 of these bones are joined together to form a helmet-like case that surrounds and protects the brain. This is called the cranium. Observe the two eye sockets in front of the skull. The eye socket protects the eyeball. Without these bones, the eye may be injured, while the mandible or jawbone protects the teeth. Okay, let's move on to the spinal column. The spinal column protects the spinal cord. And the backbone or the spine is made up of 33 for a child and for the adult, 26 irregular shaped bones called vertebrae. Each vertebra forms a ring, and all the rings together form a hollow tube which encloses the spinal cord, protect the lungs and the heart. Next is the ribs. Ribs serves as the protection, support, and respiration. It encloses and protects the heart and the lungs. The upper 7 pairs are the true ribs because they are connected to the breastbone or sternum, and the lower 5 pairs are called false ribs. Of these 5 pairs, the upper 3 are connected to the breastbone, and the last 2 pairs are not connected. These ribs are called floating ribs. Clavicle. The clavicle is the collarbone found in front of the shoulder, this one, while scapula is the shoulder bone found at the back of your shoulder, this one. And now let's move on to the appendicular skeleton. Appendicular skeleton includes the bones of the shoulder, arms, hands, hips, legs, and feet. So they are called appendages. The lower extremities are composed of pelvic bones. It supports the lower parts of the body and aid the movement of the legs. The upper arm has one long bone called humerus. The two bones in the lower arm known as the radius and ulna, each wrist or carpals has 8 bones. The palm or metacarpals have 5 bones, and the fingers or the phalanges have 14 bones. The legs are made up of long bones. The upper leg is the femur, and the lower leg has 2 bones called tibia and fibula. The femur has the longest bone in the body. The knee bone is the patella, and there are 7 ankle bones, 5 foot bones, and 14 toe bones. Ankle bones are called tarsals, foot bones are metatarsals, and toe bones are also called phalanges. How bones work? Our bones don't work on their own. The bones join together to form joints. The end of each bone is covered by a tough, smooth, shiny substance called cartilage that works like oil in a car. So what is cartilage? Cartilage is the main type of connective tissue seen throughout the body. It serves a variety of structural and functional purposes and exists in different types throughout our joints, bones, spine, lungs, ears, and nose. It also covered each end of the bones. It is also tough, smooth, shiny substance. This is what cartilage looks like. This blue one in the illustration. All of this is so your bones won't scratch and bump against each other when you move. Our bones are held together by strong, stretchy bands called ligaments. Ligament is a band of tissue that connects bones to each other and ensures the joint is stable. This is what ligament looks like. It connects the bones. Bone marrow. The bone marrow is the spongy tissue inside some of your bones, such as your hip and thigh bones. It contains stem cells, and the stem cells can develop into the red blood cells that carry oxygen throughout your body, the white blood cells that fight infections, and the platelets that help with blood clotting. There are 2 types of bone marrow, the red bone marrow and the yellow bone marrow. Red bone marrow found in the humerus, femur, pelvis, and vertebrae, while yellow bone marrow found in many other bones. So this is the picture of yellow bone marrow and the red bone marrow. That is the skeletal system. Before we end, again, what is skeletal system? Skeletal system consists of our bones in a body, and it protects the vital organs and supports our body. There are different major bones of the body, and these are femur, cranium, clavicle, vertebrae, phalanges, pelvic bone, humerus, radius and ulna, sternum, fibula and tibia, and the scapula. And there are 2 divisions of the skeletal system, the axial skeleton and the appendicular skeleton. Axial skeleton includes the skull, the vertebral column, the ribs, and the sternum, while the appendicular skeleton includes the bones of the shoulder, arms, hands, hips, legs, and feet. Cartilage is the main type connective tissue that covered each end of the bones, while ligament is the band of tissue that connects bones to each other and ensures the joint is stable. Bone marrow is the spongy tissue inside some of your bones. And there are two types, the red bone marrow and yellow bone marrow. And that's it. I hope you learned something new today. Again, this is me, Teacher Eych, reminding you to never give up and always do your best. Thank you for watching and see you on my next one. Goodbye!